On the
Can I
boat?
talk yet?
Oh yeah, sorry, go on.
I got into uni.
Oh wow! Summer rain on a window.
So yes, I am officially going back to university after dropping out a year ago to a different university to do a different course. For some context, I used to do hair, makeup and prosthetics at UCW, and I am now doing filmmaking at Leeds Arts, or will be starting in September, as you already know if you watched my last video. But since the point of that video was to edit it in the style of an episode of Heartstopper, I didn't really include many like voiceover parts or like clips where I was actually like talking to a camera. So I didn't really have a chance to like explain much of anything and like go into detail about why I'm even going back and why I picked that university and where I'm going to be living and stuff like that. So this is basically just going to be a more chill sit down follow-up video to that last video to basically fill you in on everything about me going back to university. I also made a post on my community tab asking if anyone had any like specific questions about me going back, so I will also be mixing some of those in as well. So let's first off just go back to the beginning of why I even decided to go back to university. And the answer is I actually really don't know. Honestly, I remember it was just a Sunday morning and I was sat at my desk playing Sims and the universe just like sprinkled in my head the little seed of you should go and do filmmaking at university. And within about 10 minutes that had just escalated in my brain into like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? Like, how have I not thought to do this before? Like, if you've seen the movie Soul, like the clip where the guy like gets his soul back and he's like,
What am I doing with my life?
yeah, that was me. And so I promptly went and told my parents, and that is where the last video kind of started off. And obviously my parents' first concern, which some of you guys also like asked about as well, is how do I know that I'm not just gonna drop out again? I promise, and I do not promise lightly, that I am not gonna drop out this time. Like, there is no circumstance, unless I am literally like 6 feet under, I will be graduating in 3 years. I promise. And to explain how I know that and how I can promise that, we first need to go back to the reasons that I even dropped out in the first place. So obviously there were a lot of like small reasons that kind of went into it. Like, for one thing, it was just very, very far away. It was like a 4-hour drive, which for someone who literally has never spent more than like 2 days away from home was a lot. But like I said, this time I'm going to Leeds Arts, which is a lot closer. And another reason was because of COVID meant that I basically had no friends. Like, the only people I ever spoke to that whole year was like my roommates and the like 10 people in my class. So, and even then like 90% of my classes were online anyway, so I basically just spent the entire year alone in my bedroom, which pretty much sucked. But aside from all that, the main reason that I dropped out was because it basically felt like a backup plan. Like, I love doing special effects makeup and I enjoyed the class in general, but it wasn't something that I actually wanted to do as a career. Like, it wasn't my first choice as a job to go into, because I realized how much I loved YouTube and making videos, and so I basically spent the whole year as YouTube as my priority. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did not prioritize my uni work at all. Like, I kept up with it for the most part, but I very much like half-assed it, you know? And so I basically dropped out so that I could do YouTube full-time, because that was, at that point, my first choice as a job. And so because I now had like all the time in the world to make whatever videos that I wanted to make, I went into more like film style content and like actually spent like months making videos, and I loved it, and they're like some of my favorite videos that I've made, and they are still even now like my favorite videos to make. But the thing is, you would expect filmmaking and YouTube to go hand in hand like very well. They really, really don't. And the reason why is because films, shocker, take a really long time to make. Like, even the ones that I post on my channel still take usually like at least a month to make, because I put a lot of time and effort into them. Whereas on YouTube, you're expected to post like at least like once a week. That's just like the way YouTube is. And so for like the whole year, I was in this like back and forth dilemma in my head of like, do I only post like once a month but make videos that I actually really like making, or do I post like once or twice a week but content that I have absolutely no passion put into, you know? And so yeah, I was back and forth on that for literally months until I finally realized that YouTube was no longer my like dream job. That was no longer my first choice as a career, because actually going into filmmaking is what I realized that I actually wanted to do. And so obviously you don't like need a degree to go into filmmaking, but if it was going to give me the best possible chance to do that, then I figured that that is what I was going to do. And it works out perfectly, because that way I can make films that take a long time to make at university and like fulfill that passion there, and that way I can actually post consistently on YouTube as just like a hobby. So it all just kind of worked out. Which leads us into the next thing, which is that a lot of people were asking how my content is gonna change. Like, am I gonna go back to making university videos now? And the answer is like yes and no. Like, yes, I will be making a lot of university videos and university vlogs, and I will hopefully also, if I'm allowed, be able to like give you guys the links to the final films that we make at uni and be able to film like behind the scenes like as we're filming them and stuff like that, which I'm very excited about. But I'm not gonna basically go back to being like an entirely university based channel, if that makes sense. Like, I'm still gonna make videos about other parts of my life as well. Also, on the topic of content and videos, two people asked two different questions that kind of tie into each other. One being, am I going to be filming a new university room tour? And the other being, am I commuting or am I actually moving out into accommodation? The answer is that I am going to be living at home for the first year, and then like around this time next year probably move into my own apartment in Leeds. That's the plan for now, at least. That might change, might be sooner or later than that, but the reason why I've decided to stay living here for the first year is so as I was saying, the reasons why I'm staying living at home for the first year is because, I mean, there's like a couple like just smaller reasons. Like, just in general, I just like it here, and like it's pretty close, so like I might as well. Actually, I say that it's close, it's actually going to be a bitch of a commute, to be honest. In fact, you know what, let's go through it. My routine of how I'm going to get to uni every single day for the next year of my life. I am going to have to walk to the bus stop, I'm then going to have to get the bus into town, then walk from the bus station to the train station, then get the train from here to Leeds, and then walk the last like 20 minutes from the train station to uni. So that's gonna be fun. I actually don't mind, to be fair. I'm actually kind of excited about it. Like, I'm sure the novelty will wear off after the first like 2 days, but as of right now I'm pretty excited about it. But anyway, back onto the actual point of why I'm staying living here is because, one, when I move out, I don't want to live in student accommodation. Like, I actually want to get an actual apartment, and I also don't want to live with roommates either. Like, not specific to like the roommates that I had when I went to uni the first time, but like I just don't want to do that again, because I don't know, I just like having my own space. But obviously it's going to be more expensive that way, and so I might as well have like an extra year to like save up and get a nicer apartment, if that makes sense. But also mainly because it's just going to make the whole thing a lot more gradual, I guess. Like, when I went to uni the first time, it was like back in 2020 in lockdown, and so I basically went from months of just like staying at home doing absolutely nothing, having my parents do everything for me, not having to lift a finger, to literally moving to the other end of the country by myself, suddenly not just having to balance like uni and YouTube, but also then having to factor in like shopping and cooking and cleaning, and it was just far too much to handle. It was just very overwhelming, and one of the reasons again why I ended up leaving. And so this way I can basically have a year to just like adjust to adding university to the mix before then also having to add in all the other adult responsibilities after that. But yes, eventually when I do move out, I will be doing an apartment tour. It just will not be for a long time. I have said before though that I wanted to move to Manchester when I move out, and so I don't know if anyone even remembers or cares, but the reason why I'm moving to Leeds and not Manchester is because I've started this question really awkwardly. Right, let's just go back. How did I pick the university that I am going to? I actually decided that I was going to live at home for the first year, like from the start, like before I'd even picked a university, and then actually kind of decided on a university from that, or like it was a factor at least. At first I was also considering Manchester universities, but obviously, like I said, the journey from here to Leeds is going to be an absolute nightmare, so Manchester is even further away from that, so I just was not going to deal with that. And to be honest, I didn't even really like any of the Manchester universities anyway, so it kind of just worked out. So at that point I was basically just picking from Leeds universities, and out of the Leeds universities there's only 2 that have film courses, I think, good ones at least. And so at that point I was just picking between Leeds Arts and Leeds Beckett, which the thing is, Leeds Beckett is kind of like the more prestigious title, I guess. But the reason that I didn't pick it is because, I mean, like, straight off the bat, I just, like, didn't like the vibe of it as much. Like, from very shallow things, like, literally just from looking at the website and the prospectus, like, I just already knew that I, liked the vibe of Leeds Arts more. But it was mainly because Leeds Beckett is, like, more of a all-round university with, like, every subject, whereas Leeds Arts is obviously an art school. I used to go to an art college, and it was, like, the best thing ever because everyone was friends and everyone, like, got on with each other because we all already had this thing in common already, you know? Like, you're just always in a room full of creative people, like, what could be better than that? So yeah, at the end of the day, it was kind of just, like, the obvious option, but, like, I'm so happy with that decision, and I'm, like, so excited to go. Me and my mom went to the open day a few days ago. It was like 2 weeks ago actually, but I'm so excited to go now. Like, I'm actually sad about the fact that I'm not allowed to go for another like 3 months. But anyway, yeah, that is that on that. So let's wrap it up with someone asked, how do you feel about going back to university and making new friends? So that is literally like the main reason that I'm excited to go, other than like picking my outfit every day. Not gonna lie, most excited for that, but second most excited for meeting new people, because I just like missed that whole part of it when I went to university the first time because of COVID. Meant like we literally legally weren't allowed to socialize, and on top of that I obviously have been doing YouTube full time for like the last year, and so I basically haven't left my house. I haven't socialized in like 2 years. And also when we went to the open day, like I was saying, literally everyone who goes there is like the coolest person I've ever seen in my life. Like literally everyone looks like they've just stepped out of a indie teen movie from the 90s. Like there's guys with like painted nails, like carrying around skateboards. Oh, can't wait. The thing is, when I was like first deciding whether to go back to university or not, something I was thinking of kind of as a bad thing was the fact that everyone who's going to be in my class and in my year is probably going to be like a year or two younger than me. And yeah, I was seeing that as like a bad thing, but actually the more I've thought about it, the more I actually think that now is like the perfect time for me to go. Because right, in school, like in my class, I was always the youngest person in my class because I was born in August, but I also always very much felt like the youngest person in my class. Like, I don't know, I just felt maturity and mental wise, I always felt like a year or two below everyone else. And like my mom always says, like I should have actually technically been born in September, meaning I would have been the oldest person in the year below, which would just make so much more sense. And like, I don't know, I've always been friends with younger people. That sounds creepy, not in like a weird way, but like my best friend Edie is only 16, and in college most of my friends were in the year below, and I don't know, I've just always like mixed better with younger people. And so going to uni with people who are like a year or two younger than me actually kind of will feel more normal to me. And also it means that the oldest people in the university altogether are still only going to be like my age, which is good because the professor said at the open day that as well as working on our own films, we will also be working on the second and third year films, like helping out with those. And so even when I'm like helping out on a third year film, I will still be like hanging out with people my age, and so it just kind of makes sense, and I feel like it's just the perfect time for me to go, and I'm so excited. And I literally can't wait. And yeah, it just feels like I'm basically finally caught up with my age, because literally, oh my god, everyone else my age who I like went to school with literally already has like full-time jobs and mortgages and is literally getting married and having kids. Like, I think I missed a couple chapters because, sorry, when did we get there? Like, so happy for you, but could not be me. Like, even though I'm literally going to be in my 20s by the time I start uni, which don't even talk to me about that. Mentally, I am like only just at my like dumb teenager phase, and you know what? I can't wait.